Welcome back to Tech Reality with Barbara. So, today I'm going to look at AI agents versus humans and the realistic look at who our company's going to hire in 2030. Now, this comes on top of Amazon's announcement of now letting go 16,000 more employees. So, today I'm going to talk about tech reality and how it's really going to affect you. So the overview of the flow is going to be Amazon's announcement of 16,000 employee layoffs this weekend, Amazon's 5-year layoff history, Intuit's 1,800 employee layoff that they stated was AI driven, a list of 10 companies citing AI for reasons of layoffs, the emotional and financial impact of layoffs, how to use AI to proactively help you, how to use AI to rebuild, reskill, job search, track applications, and start a business. Tools for resumes, job search, and career optimization are included. Culture checks. We always say you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. We'll talk about that. Emotional close about building your long-term brand will be included. This is about you. This is your life. You're selling it for $1 here and $1 there for another company. But the reality is, if you're not building your brand, then you're in a crevice before you get to the next peak of a mountain. So let's go ahead and start the process of easing that out. So again, today's topic is AI agents versus humans. Who will companies hire in 2030? And welcome back to Tech Reality with Barbara. Again, I'm Barbara, and today we're tackling one of the most urgent questions of our time. People are literally afraid of AI, and yet they're believing the companies when they're telling them they're being laid off because of AI. That is not the case for a number of reasons. But let's get into the truth of what's happening and what you can do to empower yourself. So, AI agents versus humans. Who will companies hire in 2030? 2030, as you might check your calendar, is just a few years away. That might seem like Odyssey 2000 or whatever that show was, but this is right around the corner. It's not that far. And if we look backwards, how long ago were you locked in your home? This change happens so quickly and time flies. So this isn't science fiction anymore. This weekend alone, Amazon announced another 16,000 new layoffs, bringing their total cuts to over 30,000 just since October. And if we look back year over year, they're massive. And you know what? You do know, actually, they're not alone. Intuit, the company behind TurboTax and QuickBooks, laid off 1,800 employees with a public notice saying they were giving them massive packages and extended benefits. And I don't know anybody who received any of those. I'm sure somebody did. But they said it was because of an AI-driven restructuring plan. No, it's because they over-leveraged through equity billions of dollars to bring immigrants into this country who could not build the large language model that they needed. They decided to keep them here rather than keep American jobs. As far as my research has shown, as I've been working with the White House, working with Florida, working with California senators, working with the Department of Labor, working with United States Customs and Immigration Service, none of those 18 employees were anything other than U.S. citizens or green card holders. There was priority time termination for individuals like you and I. In fact, anybody with an H-1 visa was carefully moved to another company if needed. If not, their job was preserved, according to the data that I saw. And please correct me if I'm wrong. But this is what I witnessed, experienced, and then further researched. This isn't an AI-driven restructuring plan. This is another right sizing being rebranded. So today we're going to really look at this. Why companies are replacing humans with AI, which companies are actually doing it, and what this means for your career, and how you can use AI to stay employable, competitive, and even build your own business. There's still ways to do that. So this first segment, I want to talk about Amazon and the shockwave. This weekend, Amazon confirmed 16,000 new layoffs, part of their restructuring effort to reduce layers, increase ownership, and remove bureaucracy. Now, to be honest, during COVID, one of the prime opportunity, I guess one of the main opportunities was that of delivering goods to people's homes. It made sense that Amazon would drastically ramp up. But it didn't really make sense how this was being leveraged because of the FBO, where they had franchises buy those vans, of which they'd ordered before the shutdown, and leveraged the labor, the gas, the vehicle insurance, everything, offloaded it there. Meanwhile, Amazon continued to massively hire. Well, anybody got hired during that time knew that that wave would not last forever. There would be pullbacks, not only because Amazon is a tech company, because Amazon is ruthless, and also that's what tech companies do. So this follows the recent layoffs in October of 14,000 at Amazon. And again, that's a total of 30,000 corporate jobs eliminated in just a few months. These are the individuals who had enough of a job title and foothold in the company to believe that they were long-term. And if we kind of take a step even further back, Amazon filed a 118 WARN layoff notice since 2001. So if you're a large company, and I don't remember now that the game changes a little bit, if you're going to do a mass layoff, you have to let the government know in advance so that they can come in with rapid response and help re-educate or monitor the situation. Quite honestly, there's no penalty as far as I've seen. You either work with the government or you don't. Most companies don't want to notify the government because they don't want their stock price to dip preemptively. And they don't want their employees to stop working in fear that they may not have a job. But since 2011, they're totaling 16,825 employees laid off across multiple states. We've seen numbers much higher than this, but that's apparently what they included the government in the conversation. But this isn't random. This is not temporary. This is structural. And again, right-sizing the company as far as they're concerned. Food Line as far as you and I are concerned. So in segment 2, I want to talk about Intuit's AI layoffs. This is really a blueprint for the future. In 2024, Intuit laid off 1,800 employees, or 10% of their workforce, explicitly stating through multiple news sources that this was a shift towards AI. Their CEO said companies that don't embrace AI will fall behind. Yes, that is a true statement. However, that's not the truth behind the layoffs. Here's the twist. They laid off 1,800 people and then announced, well, they didn't actually announce. That's the thing. They'd already hired under the darkness of COVID 1,900 H-1B visa holders. They'd already replaced them and yet told the world that it was a shift to AI, that they were laying off these individuals. It's not true. And the individuals that we did see lay off, we often scratched our head. These are the leaders. These are the ones who actually help the customers and accountants. These are the ones who understand the platform and get stuff done. Why were they let go? Where manipulative managers from other countries got promoted. Again, it was manipulation. It wasn't preservation, and it had nothing to do with the cost-saving measure in this scenario, based on what we experienced. So this is a new pattern. Well, not really. Lay off humans, hire something else, in this case, hire AI iterate humans, deploy AI agents. So the question really isn't in 2030, will AI versus humans be the game, but it's an AI agent, somebody who is a clone of an individual, holds a persona and a tone, is pseudo accountable, but only has to be paid for once and can be used and renewed over and over again. And if they don't like the company line, you just pull the plug, pop in a new one. So segment 3, These are 10 companies that cited AI as a reason for layoffs because, they all get together. They're all playing golf. They come up with the next joke in order to rip the rug out under individuals that are working for them. Based on reporting from multiple sources, here's 10 companies that explicitly cited AI or automation as a factor in the layoffs. Number one, we talked about Amazon, 30,000 corporate layoffs tied to restructuring and AI investment. Number two, Intuit, 1,800 layoffs tied to an AI shift. Number three, Dow, 4,500 layoffs to prioritize AI and automation. Number four, Pinterest, layoffs citing AI efficiency gains. Number five, Microsoft, over 10,000 layoffs tied to AI-driven efficiencies. That's a joke. Where was I here? Number six, IBM, 16,000 HR jobs automated by AI chatbot system. We've seen what's going on with Walmart and Workday. You have to bring a human back in the loop. Klarna, 700 customer service roles replaced by AI. And later they had to partially reverse this. 8, UPS, layoffs tied to automation and AI optimization. Citigroup, number 9, layoffs citing AI and automation efficiencies. 10, Accenture, layoffs tied to AI-driven restructuring. So this is not a blip. This is a trend line. As you're monitoring the stock market, you can understand if the trend line is basically going up or basically going down. In this case, it is clearly going down for humans, people, moms and dads. Segment 4, why companies are choosing AI agents. Now, again, AI agents are amazing. It is incredible what they can do. And this is my strength, understanding the power of AI in this world. But we still need honesty and integrity. And you have to have human in the loop in order to oversee that. Companies are not just cutting costs, they're optimizing for things like speed and accuracy, 24/7 availability, no burnout, no PTO, no emotional labor, no compliance risk, no training costs after deployment. California is closed for business. Nobody in their right mind would be starting a company in California right now, and you certainly would not be outside of California looking for California labor because of the absolutely insane California labor laws. In addition to labor laws, do you know that last week a group of people sat around a table and once again said, how can we dig into California's pockets even more? And they decided that in addition to the highest gas prices in the United States, the highest gas taxes in the United States, they're now going to charge a fee every time you move your car, a per mile fee. And if you drive a basic 15,000 miles a year, then that's about $4,200 is what they're estimating. Now they're saying this is on the high end. It won't be that bad. Don't worry. I don't care if it's $5. Why, on top of everything else, including DMV license fees and smog fees and what I call mandatory taxes, do they have a right to take even more? Well, that has to be factored into the salaries. So once again, the salaries of Californians are needing to bump up even higher to cover those additional cost of living. You're going to have to take that vehicle to and from work. Employers are going to need to start covering that. So employers are not going to hire Californians. That's the end of the road, as they might say. And AI agents can write the code. Yes, they can. Handle customer service, analyze data, manage logistics, generate reports, run simulations, make recommendations, and even manage other AI agents. Set up a whole department with servers in a closet, and you've got a full business. And did you know that by 2030, companies expect AI agents to handle 40 to 60% of operational tasks? So if we look at UPS as an example, why would you lay off UPS employees? Well, first of all, they stayed at corporate, but the trucks have drivers, and the drivers need to get safely to the location and bring the package to the front porch. Oh, they don't need to. We now have autonomous vehicles and we have autonomous robots. We have autonomous drones. Those packages can get there and humans don't need to be there. What happened? Well, that's the process. Segment number 5, why jobs matter. The human impact is so important. Let's just talk about this human side for a moment. A job is not just a paycheck. It's identity for so many. It means stability. It's routine. It's social connection, healthcare, housing security, money to pay for your housing, retirement planning, dignity, purpose. For anybody who's gone through a layoff, it not only permanently derails your career, you're never going to get back on that career train that you were on. At best, you might get close, but you've got to learn the ropes to skip and the ropes to jump. You're always now with that fear of when will the call come again. This isn't a party time. You don't get to have a do-over. And once somebody gets laid off once, they're often laid off multiple times. And they really understand the manipulation. Just as once you get in a criminal system, they do all they can to keep bringing you back in your money to them. You bring into a company, if you can get laid off and get laid off and laid off and laid off, your money to them. Because you have the knowledge, skill, and the wisdom that they need at a huge discount because you're willing to work just to keep food on your table. Or as so many times I said, just to keep my table. So a layoff can derail a career permanently. But you know what else? The number one reason for divorce over the last 40 years that I have referenced is always financial. There's other reasons as well. But when financial stress comes into a relationship, arguments happen. People don't feel their best. They may feel ashamed or embarrassed or frustrated. They're not fulfilling their purpose. They're going to take it out on the person who's closest to them. And relationships can't take that stress. So again, when companies replace humans with AI, the emotional impact is real. It can set someone back years, especially if they're over 40, under-networked, or in a shrinking industry. I didn't understand when I was 39, HR came to me, actually the legal department in HR, and told me I'd better hunker down for my job because in the next few months, I would be considered a protected class. And I didn't understand what that meant. And why would I need a protected class? I've had a stellar career. Well, because the federal government considers anybody over 40 prime for age discrimination. Why did they come after that number? Because it's real. Most people say that, no, that's not true. It's 50 or 60 or, well, that too. But the federal government looks at 40 years old. Really listen to that. So segment 6, how to use AI to protect your career. Here's the good news. AI can be your greatest advantage as well. All you have to do is learn how to use it. Channels like this are walking you through it, and the abundant resource center of YouTube has everything you need. Plus, through the library, you can usually get free passes to Coursera or LinkedIn Learning or a variety of different tools to bump up those skills and use it strategically for yourself. So here's some steps you can use it for. Let me see how many I've got outlined here. I've got 5 steps. I always like to tell you so that if you're jotting this down, which I hope you are, you can kind of map some of this out. Number 1, AI for resume optimization. We talked about this over the weekend. There's 3 that come up right away. There's ChatGPT, Microsoft, Gemini. Now, those 3 are mentioned because they're commercial. I'm using Copilot in order to create this. There's a ton of others. You can use Claude. You can use, I always call it the wrong one. I think it's Anchor, Abacus AI. You can use Notebook LM. There's tons of them out there. Just find one that really fits your tone. So the prompt might be, rewrite my resume for a senior operations role using measurable achievements and industry keywords. That's a starting point. I'll say this again and again and again. The quality of your questions directly impact the quality of your life. The better the question or statement or prompt you can create, the more powerful the result is going to be. Keep fine tuning that. Understand how to make that proverbial sandwich. Do you remember going into a science museum when you were a kid and they'd have a robot and you'd have to tell it step by step how to make a sandwich and it would do so? Most people would forget to even think about grab the bag of bread, pull it towards you, take the little piece of wire off the top of the bag, take the pieces of bread out of the bag and set it on the table. And I'm still missing steps here, but we've really got to think about how detailed and granular we want the result to be. Now, prompt in AI doesn't really need to be that way. With the prompt I just gave you, rewrite my resume for a senior operations role using measurable achievements and industry keywords. That's going to be phenomenal. You're going to get where you want to go. But why not 10x it? Optimize what you're putting out there in this world. Number 2, AI for job search. You can use LinkedIn AI Job Assistant. It's already there for you. Indeed AI Match and ZipRecruiter AI Recruiter. It's there for you, off the shelf. These tools scan thousands of postings and match you to roles that you would never find manually. And then they'll even send them to your email so that you can choose what is actually exciting for you. These tools scan these postings for you. That's the important part. Now, if you're in another level and you want to go deeper with AI, you can set up your own AI agent that'll do this for you. But this is a baseline of where we're at, understanding that a company needs to pay for LinkedIn, Indeed, and ZipRecruiter. So there's a ton of other job boards as well where the jobs might be phenomenal. They may not have the layoff churn and they don't have the manipulation. They just want to hire a true individual to help them along their path. So broaden that outlook with your own AI. Number 3, AI for tracking applications. You can use Norton AI, Airtable AI, Teal HQ AI Job Tracker. Again, it's already set for you. Notion is one of my favorite tools, but it can actually get costly. So you'll want to see what you can do with it and what you can't. Airtable, quite honestly, it's been floating around for a long time. I've never gotten into it. You can give me feedback if you use Airtable and how you use it for job tracking. And Teal HQ, again, it's got to be associated with Microsoft. Otherwise, it wouldn't have come up in this research. But the bottom line is these tools help you track applications, follow-ups, interviews, recruiter notes, and then they even offer comparisons. They'll give you the data that you don't get elsewhere, the feedback. Which resume, if you're using maybe 5 different resumes, which one's getting responses? Do an A/B test. Figure out how to put that sizzle out there in a way that somebody's inquisitive enough to pick up the phone and call you and bring you in for an interview. That's the first step. Number 4, AI for skill building. You can use Coursera plus an AI tutor, Udemy plus an AI coach, LinkedIn Learning, AI pathways. There's a number of different pathways in order to upskill. And as I mentioned with the library card, you can get access to a lot of these upskill opportunities. During COVID, much of this was free. That was one of the huge benefits of COVID. And if you're looking for a tuition-free university, I highly recommend the fully accredited University of the People. I have to admit, don't love the name, but you can get an associate's degree, a bachelor's of science degree, even a master's degree from them. And you can do it in the privacy of your own home. It isn't like a Sophia or Study or I can't think of the other colleges there where you're racing through and getting a bachelor's in 6 months, which you can certainly apparently do. But this is actually working with a professor, working with peers, getting peer-reviewed assignments, and proving that you're understanding the material with tests and assignments and discussion posts. It's a valid degree, and it's really helping a lot of individuals graduate with no debt. You could even apply for a scholarship. So why would I say that? It's tuition free. Yes, there's no tuition. There's no additional bells and whistles and books frees. They include all of that in there. However, they do charge a fee after you've completed the course right before the final. And that money is structural and it's extremely nominal, and that's what you can ask for scholarship for. And I don't know anybody that's been turned down. Overall, for a bachelor's of science degree, it's somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000 on the platform. Excellent. In and out, done. Now that can take really between 3 and 5 years is the sweet spot for that. But you can leverage the tools like study.com and Sophia to plug in there and speed it up, but still get a fully accredited degree. And number 5, AI to start a business. This one I cannot impress upon you enough. This is you. This is your brand. Use ChatGPT for business planning, Canva AI for branding, Shopify Magic for e-commerce, Notion AI for operations, Zapier AI for automation. It's all out there. And in fact, if you don't know what to do, go to ChatGPT and tell it, this is the kind of business I want to start. Give me a SWOT analysis, strength, weaknesses, opportunity, and threats. What is the most frictionless pathway that I can take from A to Z? And how can I amass my first sale within 1 week or 30 days or 90 days, depending on the product or service you're selling? Next step, help me set up an interface. Maybe that's a website or an app. Next step, help me set, and just keep working with it. Drill back in there. Use it as your co-pilot all the way through the process. You can build a one-person company that operates like a 10-person team. If companies can do this right now with very little money and virtually no friction, you can learn to do it too. Segment 7, culture checks, avoiding toxic employers. When you're job searching, culture matters more than ever right now. We've always been told when you go for an interview, you're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you. You know that this isn't the truth. Maybe back at university, you were a prime candidate and you got multiple job offers and you got to choose the pathway you wanted. The realization is after that path and at the point you get laid off, the offers just don't come rolling in anymore. If you get an offer, you better take that seat and keep it warm. And that's not the mindset that we need to have. That sets you up for failure. You know, you can tell from a job posting how sincere they are. If it's a government job and it's only on for 7 to 10 days or 14 days, I guess, then it's meeting the requirement to post publicly and it's taken down. They don't really want to hire you. That would be ridiculous. They have somebody internal that they've already chosen, but they had to post it and say that they did. What about a job that constantly has ads out there? Every time you look, it's the same company. These companies churn employees. They burn them up and spit them out. That's not where you want to be either. What about companies? Do they discriminate? And you're going to say that's ridiculous. Yes, it is ridiculous. DEI is a discrimination. It chose a group of people and said, don't hire them. Instead, hire these groups of people. That is discrimination. Do they manipulate? We just recently saw that on a Zoom call out to a group of employees that was so dedicated. You're my family. Let's do this together. That manipulation isn't acceptable in a company environment for the reasons that we saw on that Zoom. Do they hide layoffs, repackage them? Do they overhire and then purge? Do they replace humans with AI without retraining? Yes, 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 yes. Then no, 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 no. Look for a company with integrity or start your own. Let me go back to do they overhire and purge? It is very expensive to hire somebody new, to put the advertising out there, to get in front of the right candidates and to move through the system. So what happens? What do companies do? They can mass hire. Instead of hiring just one person, they can hire 20 people, mass train, and then over the next year or so, see who the fastest horses are, and then get rid of everybody else. That's not the environment you want to be set up to fail in. Use AI for research. Glassdoor summaries matter. These are people that work there giving their feedback. You know, there's some disgruntled and you can get that out, but why are they disgruntled? If something happens in front of you, don't look at the event after the noise occurred that caught your attention, but back up. 30 seconds and see what led up to that. Reddit threads, warn notices with the government, layoff history, CEO statements, employee sentiment analysis, anything coming from current employees that say, hey, this is what it's actually like. AI can help you find these green bar pastures or greener pastures. The companies that value humans, not just efficiency, spend your time over there. Segment 8, the 2030 prediction. This is where we started. So who's going to get the job? Who will get hired? Well, the reality is AI agents. There's no other way to look at this. That's number one. They're going to be for customer service, data analysis, scheduling, logistics, compliance, reporting, coding, research. They're not for you. Number 2, humans. Humans will be in leadership roles, creativity, strategy, ethics, relationship building, complex problem solving, emotional intelligence, and brand representation. So if you're looking for a specific place to land, these are the type of roles you want to bring your career into. I focus in human in the loop AI strategy, specifically involving the optimization of human capital, which in my mind is the greatest resource a company can have. So where within leadership, creativity, strategy, ethics, relationship building, complex problem solving, emotional intelligence, and brand representation are you going to fit? This is your pathway. Figure out how you fit in that. The future is not AI or humans, it's AI plus humans, but only the humans who learn to adapt. So we've gone through a lot here today. And again, I kind of outline these so that if you're jotting them down, you have an outline you can create. There's always transcripts of these videos you can go back to. But here's the truth. AI is not actually coming for your job. Companies are. The bottom line, the ROI, putting more money in executive pocket. That's not going to change. But you can stay ahead. Learn AI. You learn how to use AI. Build with AI. Brand yourself. Stay adaptable. Stay curious and stay human. This is what we need in this world. Really learn what your values and integrity are. Don't step outside the bounds because somebody tries to push you. Stand firm. This is what we need right now. Because in 2030, companies won't hire the fastest worker. They'll hire the worker who knows how to work with AI. So once again, I'm Barbara. This is Tech Reality. And you know what? Do yourself a favor. Subscribe if you want to stay ahead of the future and not be replaced. And I've been told the algorithm likes likes. So if you don't mind tapping the like button, I'm going to try to encourage that conversation as we move forward. Okay, blessings to all of you today. I'll touch base with you tomorrow.